In this video, we review One Piece Manga Chapter 994. So, let's get right to it. Starting off with the cover story, I was actually open to the possibility that the cover story series with Beji's Oh My Family would be continuing. But I'm actually happy for the way it ended because we see that Beji's growing family was happy about what's happening. But anyway, on the first page of the manga, it's actually the continuation of the fight in the rooftop. We see a few awesome panels, and I find it very creative of Oda to have Kiku cauterized. Because we see Kinemon burn Kiku's shoulder. Basically, what this does is stop the bleeding, but Chopper or some doctors will definitely need to treat this wound later on. Especially because this wound would be a great place for infections to happen. And because of that, it will even be more painful for Kiku to continue on fighting. And I was actually expecting that Kiko won't be able to continue to fight. So this is a bit surprising to me, which technically it shouldn't be because we all know what happened to Law back in Dressrosa when Doflamingo severed his arm. So I guess it shouldn't really have been surprising to most of the fans. It should have been quite expected, but I really was expecting Kiku. I wasn't expecting her to continue fighting from this wound. And especially from the angle, I didn't think that the arm was the only thing that was cut. On the next page, Kaido was actually starting to admire the determination of the Scabbards. And this is typical Kaido, I think. It's well within his personality. I just find it awesome seeing the 9 Scabbards just getting ready for a counterattack. I do find it weird that Kinemon has been consistently saying badass lines. I find it out of character, but he's just showing his leadership right now, and I quite like it. But we cut to the scene where Luffy, Jinbei, and Sanji are making their way through the enemy lines so that they could join up with the Scabbards. Unfortunately for them, Kaido has so many underlings that they have been having an infinite number of smile users and fodder along the way up to the rooftop. And it was quite funny how Jinbei and Sanji took care of the new smile users, Fortrix and Hamlet. They were drawn quite funny as well, and Sanji was still freaked out by how they were transforming into their hybrid forms, which is really quite hilarious if you ask me. I don't particularly like how they look, but it's funny. Then on to the next page, we see that the mayhem is still continuing and the Ice Demon is really doing its work. And we see the Oniwa Banshu as well as the Samurai Squad being cornered as well by the Ice Demons. So I really think that this is a good sign, especially for the Straw Hats and their alliance, because they could probably join up with the Straw Hat Alliance and try and take down Kaido, especially with the leadership of Hyogoro and the underworld bosses of Wano on their side. They could convince them to join up, especially with how things are going right now, with Queen treating them as dispensable or replaceable. And as expected, Chopper was already thinking about how he could apply the antidote to the people infected by the plague. And I actually never thought about Queen having the antidote, which should have been expected because Oda has done that time and time again in maybe just a different variation of it. Just like how when Luffy was poisoned back in Alabasta, Robin had the antidote, and countless more times. But moving forward, Apu was trying to get out of the activity hall, and as he was banging on the door, Queen threw him the antidote. Queen was actually treating this as a game, just for his entertainment, so I'm totally expecting Queen not to participate in any of the fights from here on out until much later on in the story. It's actually very interesting to see Apu being chased by the Straw Hats, the Beast Pirates, as well as the Samurai Squad and the Oniwa Banshu. I really like the game that Queen has thought about, except for Arlong Park, where Arlong actually treated the situation of Luffy being stuck as a game. This was the only other time that I recall that a character used the situation for entertainment, for actual entertainment. Then on the next page, we see Yamato, Momonosuke, and Shinobu in a very dire situation where Sasaki and his group have them pinned down. And now after what Yamato did for Momonosuke and Shinobu, they are actually open to knowing who she is. So she finally introduces herself to Momonosuke and Shinobu, but Sasaki, being so intent with fulfilling his orders of taking out Momonosuke, they continue to assault them. So Yamato had to protect both Shinobu and Momonosuke, because Shinobu took quite a lot of damage from their previous encounter. And in a very Luffy-like fashion, Yamato took the attack head on. And the smile user that has the spikes was victimized by a very powerful smack. And we see a very great angle of Yamato's attack. And the chapter ends there. So overall, this was a great chapter. I think it's 8 out of 10. I loved how action-packed the chapter is, and I feel like the story is progressing quite well. It's not very quick. We're getting to enjoy and savor the fight scenes and the battle as it all unfolds quite slowly in terms of who is going to fight who. But I still love the chapter. But anyway, that's all for today's video. Watch out for the video tomorrow because we are going to try and predict what would happen on One Piece Manga chapter 995 moving forward. So give it a like if you loved One Piece and subscribe to the channel so it could grow. I would really appreciate it. And as always, stay safe. Peace.